lead us in prayer.
This month of August, a new school year starts. We just ask for safety and guidance for teachers, for the students. We ask for your guidance over us this evening as we make decisions for our county. We ask this all in your name.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right, did you guys have an opportunity to look at the July 21st commissioner meeting minutes?
Yes, I saw it.
I make a motion to approve. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye. And those opposed, motion carries. Looking at the July 31st executive session minutes, have an opportunity to look at those.
Yes, we did. I would make a motion to approve those.
A second. All right, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to the claims.
They look good to me. I didn't see anything out of ordinary. Claims.
Dave, did you have any questions on anything?
No. Make a motion to accept claims as noted.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, claims are approved. Payroll for August 1st, 2025.
I didn't have any questions. I make a motion to accept payroll claims as well.
Payroll for August 1st, 2025 is in the amount of $140.17. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the payroll?
I think that's pretty low.
$413,140.
I knew what you meant.
My apologies. Let me restate that then, Larry. $413,140.17. We have the motion and the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. The public hearing, okay, we got that down. The public hearing for the alley vacation up in Clarksburg is going to be at the next meeting. It's not going to be at this one, so it'll be at our August 18th commissioners meeting. That way we'll have some additional representatives that'll be at that hearing. Moving on, Todd Howe with the Highway Department.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey,
Got a couple documents on screen there. Well, general things we've been doing as far as maintenance, the normal grading, patching, vegetation. Been doing some culvert replacements on some different roads. I've got the documents submitted to NDOT from the unofficial detour of State Road 3 when it was closed from Decatur County to Decatur County. That's all been submitted. I'm just waiting on approval for them to, they sent me a PO. I put in all the information I needed to, so I'm just waiting on them to reimburse the county. I had quarterly meetings with Bridge Inspection, Sherry Street last week, and we are in compliance with Bridge Inspection for Decatur County. We started demo on Bridge 30 or 63, got the pilings driven, and now we're starting to warm up and get ready to finish the embankments.
And you saved the deck on that, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we brought it into the highway department. There are 6 beams, so we should be able to use it on something else. I think our thinking is a couple of these slabs that are out there, I think the NDOT's going to start getting everybody a lot of pressure on those. So I think one of those slabs will work for these beams. So that's our thinking. So other than that, that's all I really got to report. Do you gentlemen have anything for me?
I don't have anything on any maintenance issues this meeting.
The only thing I would say is I've heard and noticed very good reviews on their chip and seal.
Yeah.
Yeah. think it's went really well this year.
I think they did very good, driving over those roads.
I really like that foggy. 50.
That's fog seal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good.
It did.
Nice.
And calmed some people down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was good to just try it in an addition versus on roads. I think it cost us, the county, I think like $5,200 to do that. So, I thought it turned out really well.
Same here.
Yeah.
I know we'd had some discussions that, with some of the lower commodity prices that we have right now, that we're going to try and do some additional chip and seal
Correct.
in the county. Do you know timeline for when some of those projects will be kicked off?
SC would not be able to come back for 2 months because they were behind on projects because they got behind here from all the rain. So I know Tim's made some conversation with them, but they've said it'd be possibly a couple months. So, but yes, I think we need to look at doing some additional roads just for the fact of the price.
Right.
I don't think we'll ever get a price like that again, being the CCMG is locked in at $1 million now. That paperwork before you is the grant tracking system. It is for the CCMG. That grant has been maxed out to $1 million for county. It's an 80-20 match versus a 75-25. So I just need your approval to 250,000 for the call in 2026, which comes out October the 1st and ends October 30th. So I think it's going to be a pretty competitive for the counties. They can get a submit for the 2025-2 call. So I think it's going to be pretty competitive. So I think everybody needs to make sure they got their ducks in a row and able to submit and get it in.
Get it in early.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm waiting on some documents to do my 2025-1 closeout. And then I'll have everything closed out. So we should be in good accordance for the county going forward.
So our cap on the 2026-1 is 250,000, and it would still be up to $1 million on the total project.
Correct. Yeah, it'll be 1,250,000.
Okay.
And we'll probably submit for a little bit more than that, so we don't leave any money on the table.
And do you have any idea what 2026-1 would be? Is it more chip and seal, or you?
I think we're looking at chip and seal again. That should get us to, got another 100 miles of roads that we need to do. That should basically try to even out our bell curve. Because
Pacer rating.
yes, so because anything that is a Pacer rating of 3, you're really not supposed to go after on community cross grant. They request that you do overlay. So most of those roads we got done last year. But I think going forward, I think that NDOT is going to be looking at what you submit for now a little bit closer because they kind of capped that off. So I think it's got to be a 4 through a 7 for chip and seal. So I think that's what we're looking at doing, making sure that we're kind of being proactive with NDOT, looking at what they want the money to be spent on. So I think we're pretty good shape. I don't know that Tim's got all of his results back. Hopefully should have that done this week where I know exactly how many miles we're going to be doing. I think going forward next year, we'll probably do 50-50 chip and seal and overlay. But for 2026, I think in our conversation, we're going after chip and seal again.
And I know one of the other changes in the CCMG, if there is a second call, only counties that have a wheel tax are eligible for the second call.
Well, it's not second call,
Or is it
but
just-
additional monies.
But it does require the wheel tax to be in place.
Yes. And I think we're good shape for that. I don't think we have any worries on that. I was asking Bill if we were maxed out on that. That may be something we look at going to do in the future, just make sure we're maxed out on that. For additional funding. But they also recommended they want that grant paperwork to follow the grant. So I'll need you to sign that. Christie needs to sign it, and then she can keep it I'll take it before the council to have Danny sign as well. But I'm just trying to get ahead of that because sometimes maybe 2 weeks or 4 weeks and I need to have everything in place. They also recommended that we redo the resolution every year for the legal signer and make sure that we have that documentation sent in to them as well.
So I'll entertain a motion then to approve the Decatur County grant proposal for CCMG 2026-1, authorizing up to $250,000 from the county.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
And then the resolution that Todd was referencing was a resolution from 2023, where I was appointed as the representative for the Board of Commissioners with authorization to sign any of the like extra NDOT or CCMG documentation that comes in, just so that I had the ability to sign that stuff, because a lot of it is a quick turnaround. So that was the resolution. So we'll have to redo that, update it. One more thing on your list that I think is probably pretty empty at this point. All right.
Knock it down.
Anything else for Todd?
I don't.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you, Todd.
Start doing this, we're gonna move you bottom of the list.
That is an idea to start rotating the agenda. Up next, Sheriff Bill Myros.
Good evening.
Hello, Sheriff.
Item number one, commissary report for the first half of the year. It doesn't require any action. It's just, if you're having trouble going to sleep some night, you can do it. To satisfy the State Board of Accounts, I would request the minute reflect that it was distributed. So I'm going to get trouble with State Board of Accounts. So again, no action required, just for your review. Any questions about that? Hold on.
I don't have any questions, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number three. I'd be more than happy for you to do that in your own time. Item number two, our training room, east side of that building is all, mostly all glass from probably 20 feet to 30 feet up. It's really causing us problems when we have trainings in that classroom. Sunlight comes through in the mornings and we can't even see a PowerPoint presentation. It's visually just a bad thing. And Indiana Sheriff's Association, we're hosting 2 trainings for them, one in October, one in November. I'd really like this to be cleaned out before they come give their presentation. So I do have an estimate from Showtime for $2,785.33 to tempt that, take care of this problem. Showtime is the one that did the original tinting in the building, so they know what it's about. As far as funding it, I'm anticipate paying for it out of the county misdemeanor. Got approximately $54,000 balance right now. So the money is not the issue, just approval to modify your building if it will be.
I don't have an issue with that for the needs that they have.
Make a motion to approve the 1 to 10.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Sheriff, do you want my signature on this?
Sure. And lastly, again, I gave you another handout. We're going to give you an update real quick on where we are with Enterprise. Getting ready to order cars again for next year. I want to have Chief Logic come up and kind of go through that with you because he's been working very closely with the Enterprise folks.
Good evening. You got 2 packets. One of them is a quote, the one that says open-ended and equity lease rate quote. That's the quote for this year's vehicles. We're going to order 5 Durangos. They're coming in at that 51,027 after the equity is applied to those. So our monthly payments, our monthly rental on those, they're calling them rental fees, but our monthly payment is $1,137.62 per vehicle. You can look through those. Those are the options that we the quote from Walterman's on upfitting and taking the equipment out of the old vehicles came in a little bit lower than what we anticipated, not much, but he did us pretty good on being accurate at his estimate. The back portion of that is just the options that we selected for those. And we don't go crazy with them. So you guys can see most of the stuff that we usually get has become standard for there. But they're the same that we usually get. Nothing crazy. We don't add anything super expensive on there. If you have any questions with that, again, we can definitely talk about that, but it's just a standard quote. We got the V8s in all of them, spotlights, and I think basically everything else is the standard that we get.
They're gonna be, they're the white.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing crazy on that. The other packet is kind of an update. We had talked previously about waiting until everything came in the first half of the year to make sure that what Enterprise was projecting and what was actually coming in was on track. So the first page with the green line on it, that was what was projected, and it was presented to the commissioners, the council, and the sheriff's department in our meetings with Enterprise when we were setting up. So the top line, if we look over to the lease budget, in the very top line, second from the end, they projected a lease payment for 2025 at $64,237. We switch over to the second page, the My 25 total spend, the yellow lines. If we skip down to the bottom of that graph on the right-hand side where it says total spend including gains, we've spent $67,440.74. We've got some payments left, and we still have a vehicle pending. We're still having problems with that one title. We sent that title off. BMV has sent it back to us twice. So trying to get that retitled so it'll get sold. So as soon as that's done, those prices will look even better. If you switch over to the third page, down at the bottom, where it has 57,141.85 for the 2026 additional units. Number underneath of that, the 70,375.20. That is what we're actually projected to spend in 2026 before we sell the remaining vehicle. Does that make sense? So Enterprise estimated $64,237. And as things are setting right now, we're going to pay $70,375. So they were pretty close.
And you still have one to sell.
And we still have one to sell. So we're looking good. I'm happy. Looking forward, if we go back to the first page, the second line down for 2026 in the lease budget, they're projecting 129,476. We switch over to the strategy, the 2026 strategy down at the very bottom. Even with the current price of 70,000 for this year, 57,141 next year, we're projecting a 127,517. So we're coming in under what Enterprise quoted us in the sales pitch. So we're looking good there. As long as the market values and the resales of the vehicles that we're trading in stays true to what they're estimating, we're going to be in really good shape. So really happy with what Enterprise sold us and then what they're returning to us. The used market fluctuates, but they've allowed that 3 to 5% in their estimates to us, and they're hitting pretty good. So I think we're setting nice, and pretty happy with what they're saying.
And then you got what Rob has here, what you're
I don't have that, but I know which ones they are.
So there's two on the road, two that are full cars, and one is a courthouse.
Correct.
So I'm guessing the ones that you're going to be buying now are all going to.
All of them are going to go to the road, and then we're going to rotate. Yeah, we're going to rotate ones from the road into the pool, and one from the courthouse. Yeah. So if you look at that, we've got that 2019 Pursuit, the 2022 Charger that we're getting rid of with 68,000, that has a 6-cylinder in it, and we're just going to lose. We're going to lose so bad on that we're trying to get rid of it and recoup as much as what we can. So that's why that one's kind of going early. The 2022 Durango with 83,000, that's just where we're at. So that's where we want to be trading these vehicles at, as we're getting
right
getting
under 100.
under 100. And you can see The 2019 Durango Pursuit with 133,000, they're projecting that at a 12,813 resale. And the 2022 with 83,000, they're projecting it 16,000. So, and that's the difference. So that's what we're trying to do. We want to get rid of these vehicles when they still have some market value. It's lower in our payments. It's lower in everything for us, and we're safer on the road. The equipment is better. We're staying under warranty if we have any major stuff. So that's going to be the first vehicle that we're able to trade in and really see what we're going to gain by switching to Enterprise and putting these on a 4-year instead of a 5 or a 6-year. And we're coming in low. Again, I think we requested 250,000.
Right.
We requested 250,000 for this year's budget, and those were my estimates on the market and an install. And once we have every vehicle on, once we're in a full load, we'll be at 229,000. So based on
$21,000 savings.
yes, and they're hitting their mark. So
I know this is an unfortunate thing that will absolutely happen, but have any of the vehicles that we've leased from Enterprise been involved in a crash where they've been totaled or?
no, but we do have contingency for that. We talked through that with the Enterprise rep in our yearly, and I mean we're prepared for that if that happens. There shouldn't be a huge cost incurrence there other than the upfitting. So we're projecting right around $15,000 for upfitting. Half of that has to be paid up front, and that comes from the equity of the vehicles that we're selling, and we wouldn't have that. The worst case scenario is we're going to be out about $6,500, and then everything else will just roll in. Whether the insurance covers that, whether we were asking the council to cover that, or whether we're taking care of some of that through commissary or whatever. Obviously, we'll talk about that when that happens. So hopefully not, but we're prepared for that if we do. And the sheriff's department is still paying a good portion of equipment. So we're not asking the council or the commissioners to kick in anything for our cages or any of the extra stuff. These are just the bare bone cars. So any prisoner transport cages or canine kennels or anything extra, the sheriff's department is paying for that commissary funds. So we're trying to do our part.
Thank you for all the information.
I was just curious to see if you'd been through that experience yet to see how
Not
that.
yet.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad about that.
If you guys are looking at these and you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out. I'm presenting the bottom line numbers. There's a bunch of stuff in there. I know what most of them mean. And our rep is really good, and she's happy to jump on calls with any of you guys. She offered that today when I was going back through and making sure I was getting good information.
Well, it's good. It's bearing out what they proposed.
Yes, and their communication has been incredible. Every time I pick up the phone, they answer. I never get a voicemail.
That's
So
good.
yeah, if I call, we've got two local reps, and I say local, they're in Indiana. And anytime that I pick up the phone, they have answered. So no voicemails, no emails. If I call, they answer the phone. I think
What has been their lead time from time to order to delivery?
last year was tough with the changeover, and we got Fords. We pushed pretty hard in Fords, so it was almost 7 months. Chevys was the same way. But we're projecting, because we're ordering all Dodges this year, they thought that they were going to have Dodges in before the end of 2025. We told them, hey, we're not going to be able to do that. The quickest that we could do that would probably be the end of December if we were able to invoice and encumber. So they thought that they could maybe have delivery as soon as November or December. But we're anticipating January. And then hopefully on the road hoping to have all 5 of the new vehicles on the road by the middle of March. It takes upfitting. Upfitting. It's going to take the time that it takes. So.
Very good. I
All right.
appreciate the info.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next on the agenda is the Cobia decommissioning agreement and road use agreement. I would just kick off the discussion here. I've had an opportunity to look through both. At this point, I still have some questions left for Hannah, our attorney from Barnes and Thornburg. And so I'm not in a position where I feel comfortable at this point of proceeding on the decommissioning agreement and road use agreement. I think there's a couple of emails that are still outstanding and some concerns that I have from an email that I had received earlier this afternoon about just some questions about what we had in our road use agreement. What are your guys' thoughts?
Feel the same way.
I'm in agreement. It's down to the wire and it's city is being able to accept it at this moment.
No, so my hope is that if whatever happens on Wednesday night, if the BZA were to approve, that they make that contingent on the acceptance and final ratification by the commissioners of any decommissioning agreement, road use agreement, so that we can ensure that we have those in place before truly proceeding forward with that agreement or with the project, if it were to be passed by the BZA. All right, up next, the Covia Economic Development Agreement. Do you guys want to lead? Do you want Baker Tilly to lead? Anyone, do you guys have anything else you need to add tonight or not?
No, we're just here to learn and take information.
Okay, so go ahead and take the podium, guys, and if you can just introduce yourselves, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Greg Balsano, Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors. My colleague Ethan Baker is handing out a presentation that I'm going to cover here this evening. So thank you for having me work directly with Matt Eckerly, who I'm here for tonight. So again, happy to go through things. I'm just going to kind of cover this at a high level, the first 6 slides or so, but I'm happy to cover anything in more detail or answer any questions that you may have. So with that, I'll get started. Again, my name is Greg Balsano, Baker Tilly. We are a municipal financial advisor for the county, here to kind of present the impacts on the property tax side of things of what this solar project could have. So I want to start by saying that in these assumptions and estimates, everything is kept constant. And what I mean by that is we've looked at pay 2025 assessed value information, tax rates, levies, et cetera, and kind of kept everything constant with the influx of this project information. That way we could truly isolate the impacts that this project has. Obviously, we know that other things will change, as over the course of the next few years and as this project actually is assessed. But we wanted to show kind of what is today versus what is today with this project information coming in so that you guys can truly see the impact that this project has on the property tax. So with that, I'll start on slide 2 of the PowerPoint presentation you have called the assumption slide. So investment assumptions were provided by the company that we work with. There's about $689 million of total taxable investment, with 95% of that being personal property and about the other 5% being the real property. So again, 95% being the taxable utility property that will be depreciated, the other 5% coming in the form of roughly real property improvements to the land and such buildings, things like that. And then there'll also be an increase in land assessed value. This project encumbers about 5,383 acres in terms of acres that were inside the fence. So those are acres that could see an increase in assessed value due to the project coming online. That changed from farmland assessed value to the solar land base rate that's set by the Department of Local Government Finance. Obviously, all this is subject to actual assessment when the time comes by the assessor's office and the reporting of the company. This is broken out into 2 different phases. So phase 1 is about 336 million and phase 2 is 350 million. That's kind of the breakout there of that $686 million in total investment. Looking at that, the first phase, 100% of that is anticipated to be within the Clay Township taxing district, whereas phase 2, about 73% is in that same taxing district and 27% is in the Adams Township taxing district. Based on information, phase 1 is estimated to be assessed, placed in service for taxes January 1, 29, taxes payable 2030. And the second phase is January 1, 30, taxes payable 2031. So that is 2030 and 2031 are the expected years you would see the first assessment from this type of investment. Slide 3, kind of a summary of our analysis. So we've looked at before Senate Enrolled Act 1, after Senate Enrolled Act 1, and then also looked at kind of a comparison between the two. So with this, we've looked at a 10-year, 100% utility property tax abatement. So that is on the larger investment of the utility property. No abatement for real property improvements or the increase in land. So in the state of Indiana, increase in land assessed value cannot be abated. So with SCA one utility property, what we've done is taken this down to a 0% value. As we understand it today, the state law change made it so that there is no floor for utility property that's newly invested, whereas previously that floor was at 30%. We have reached out to the DLG state for more guidance on the depreciation, and they are working on that. But as of now, kind of looking at the analysis, taking that all the way down to 0% or $0 because of that fully depreciated. And that would happen around pay 36. So, only about 5 or 6 years of actual assessment on that real or that utility. Again, pre-SCA one, that would have been taken down to a 30% floor. And then again, I just want to reiterate that we are isolating this impact from everything else, kind of keeping everything else constant. And the only SCA one impact we're showing is that floor change. Just kind of for some reference, we've shown an increase in assessed value of about $5,311 per acre, taking it from the state set $7,701 per acre for solar land in the region to the 2,390 farmland assessment. So that difference, we're showing an increase in assessment from the change in assessment type. So moving on here to slide 5. This is a summary of the property taxes here. So one thing I do want to iterate is, as you all know, in the state of Indiana, they set maximum levies. So every year, municipalities, counties, schools, libraries, etc., are allowed to grow their levy by so much. Usually it's around 4% a year. There are a few funds outside of those levies, but majority are within a maximum levy. And you can grow your funds at roughly 4% a year with what the state kind of says. What the assessed value drives is the tax rate, right? So the higher the assessed value the community has, the county has, the lower the tax rate that's needed to support that levy. And vice versa. The lower assessed value that happens, higher tax rates needed to support that levy that's chosen. Again, you can go up to the maximum. So what that means is that new property taxes that come in are not necessarily new dollars to the county, the school, etc. What it is an influx of assessed value, and this company or whatever the project might be pays taxes, and think of it as that's a portion of the pie that now everyone else doesn't have to pay because they're paying a portion of all those levies that make up those tax districts. So without an economic development agreement, I know that's you're considering, and I know the attorneys are hearing things that can speak on those agreements specifically. Without the economic development agreement over a 20-year time frame, the project would pay about $19.2 million of property taxes. With the economic development agreement, it would be about $9.9 million. So the reason for that difference is because there is a 10-year abatement on the utility property. And so the difference in taxes is the savings attributable to the company. So they're saving approximately $9.3 million, again, based on today's tax rates. However, with those savings comes an economic development payment with those savings in agreement of approximately $16.5 million. That's $8 million from phase 1 and $8.5 million in phase 2. That, unlike what I just mentioned with property taxes, that is new money to the county. So that is new money to the county. The attorney's speaking on this, but typically it's up to the county to use for whatever legal purpose it can. And those, I think, are estimated to be paid over roughly 5 payments each for each phase, totaling that $16.5 million. Additionally, you'll see there at the bottom, the estimated additional payment. What that is just under $20.1 million. And that additional payment is a part of the economic development agreement and is the difference between what the taxes the company would have paid before Senate Roll Act 1, versus what we estimate they will pay with this change in that floor that we got. So in addition to the $16.5 million, there could be $20.1 million in additional payment due to the change in the Senate Rolled Act 1 change with the personal property floor. Now, I will say that amount is subject to change in the aspect of it will get calculated. We'll work with the auditor's office, who's great to work with, and we'll work with them each year and determine what that difference actually is. So taking the actual investment compared, what it would have been, what would they have paid pre-SDA one versus what they're going to pay now in 2030, 2031, et cetera, and beyond with SDA one. And so that number is really an estimate of what they paid, what they would have paid. So that's kind of the summary of the property taxes. And the last slide I'm going to cover, and again, happy to go into anything in more detail or further, is kind of the tax rate benefit. So what I mentioned at the beginning is the influx of new assessment can lead to lower tax rates holding all else constant. Because as I mentioned, assessed values go up, you need lesser of a tax rate to support that same maximum rate. So in the Clay Township, I mentioned the two taxing districts, the Clay Township taxing district and the Adams Township taxing district. We've looked at a variety of different potential taxpayers that exist within those taxing districts and what this could mean. So when the abatement fully rolls off and when the investment's fully online, so in 2041 is what we show, you could see in Clay Township a tax rate decrease of 0.0429 cents. So that's from 1.0795 to 1.0366. And again, that's because of that new assessed value, looking at it compared to today, holding all else constant. So a $189,900 home, that was the median per the Census Bureau. What does that look like? So somebody who would pay property taxes with the current tax rate, and this is with all the SEA one deductions and things, so compare kind of apples to apples, would pay approximately $614. Again, holding all else constant with this new assessed value, they would pay $589 or a reduction of $25 annually in their home property taxes. And we show a $100,000 home and $200,000 home as well. Somebody who owns 1 acre of farmland would see a decrease of 68 cents per acre. And a $100,000 business in this township would see a reduction of $42.90 their business for $100,000 business. For the Adams Township taxing district, what you can see is similar impacts, but a bit less. And as you remember from the earlier slide, that's because less of the investment is located within this taxing district. So there's less of an impact. And the same would be true as you get farther out too, right? The farther you go away from the project, the less impacts it's going to have. So the Adams Township taxing district current rate is 1.0966, and we are projecting a 0.0336 tax rate change, holding all else constant. So for that same median house value, that's a reduction of $19.94 for that acre of farmland, 54 cents per acre. And for that $100,000 business, a reduction of $33.60. So again, holding all else constant, looking at some taxpayers in the community, what that additional assessed value, again, mostly coming from the real property improvements and the increase in the farmland, in the land assessed value, because that personal property, the utility property would be fully depreciated. So really the assessed value benefits coming from those other two kind of buckets there. So again, Greg Balsano with Baker Tilly. I'm happy to go through anything further or answer any questions on the property tax impact.
So playing the hypotheticals here, if the BZA Wednesday night approves this project and there is no economic development agreement in place, the economic benefit to the county is the $19,228,470. Oh, is that correct?
So it would be, so again, as a reminder, that wouldn't be new money necessarily. So what would happen is, as you saw in those property tax pages, the reason I say 2041 is because there's an abatement going on and things like that. So that value is pushed off. It's kind of delayed in terms of the impact of taxpayers. So without the economic development agreement, if the project were to still go through, then the benefit would really be that additional assessed value, meaning the lower tax rates. But the other benefits of the economic development payment of the 16.5 million and that additional payment of the difference between the SEA one pre and post would not receive.
But that would be it, is the real property tax that we would have been receiving anyways.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, the taxes, right, the taxes on the investment, before depreciation of utility property, and then after depreciation goes zero, and then the real property improvements in the land assessment, getting those assessed value kind of benefits if the economic development agreement was passed.
And so then there on slide 5 is if this were to pass and we have the economic development agreement in place.
Mhm.
We have the $9,933,150 on the property taxes. That next line down, you have the 9,200,000.
That's just your savings. Excellent.
Yes, and so that's the difference between the real property minus what would have been there before, without the abatement, correct?
That's the difference really between, so the abatement that's received on the utility property,
Mhm.
that's the 10-year, 100%, that's the benefit that the company is receiving, that they're not paying that roughly 9.3 million in property taxes on that.
So really the lines then that we need to be considering when it comes to this agreement would be 1, 3, and 4.
Correct, yes, sir. Yeah, and there obviously, and Hannah can speak to this, from a legal perspective, there are other protections that exist within that economic development agreement in terms of protections on different financial terms and things like that. I'm sure she could speak on, but from a numbers perspective, in terms of this, that's
So then when I added those lines 1, 3, and 4 together, I got 46,500,000. I'm sorry, $503,140 is what I had gotten on that there.
yeah, again, that 9.9 million at the top number, again, that wouldn't be new money.
Right.
Necessarily.
But I mean, if we're looking at what the property tax would have been
Sure.
before and
Sure.
after.
You do the difference.
Yeah, the difference is $27,274,670, including the property tax. If you take the property tax portion out of it, and you're just looking at the economic development payments and the additional payments, it's $36,569,990. You're just adding up lines 3 and 4.
Correct.
So you guys have any questions?
No. Thank you for doing
No,
that.
I don't have any questions for you.
Thank you for doing that by
Yes.
side. The clarity is great.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, absolutely, yes, sir. Yeah, thank you for having.
I know Hannah's on as well. You guys have any questions?
Hannah,
So Hannah, I know that there were some requested, there were some questions that we had, and if we wanted some things removed from the agreement, you've had an opportunity to go through those and ensure that all of those have been removed and the language was modified. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And in talking with Kyle and Matt from Denton's today, everyone has signed off on those changes as well, and the company was fine with them.
Hannah, from your perspective, can you discuss, I guess, your view on the economic development agreement, benefits, and any other issues that you see here?
Yeah, I mean, so this is relatively new just in how we've been doing these agreements. I mean, we have all of our standard provisions that we would have done pre-SEA 1, but this EDA payment structure with the additional payments is new in light of that. So, I mean, I think given the change in law, this is a very generous and good offer for the county, just in the sense that we've done everything we can on our end to make sure that you're as protected as possible. I think Greg and Baker Tilly has put the numbers out in front of you, so that's up to your discretion whether you think that's, numbers wise, what the county wants to do. But as far as the legal protections in the agreement, we feel confident in them and have done similar structures in the past, but slightly adjusted now to compensate for that big legislative change.
And Hannah, can you just detail a little bit about what's in the agreement as far as when payments would actually be triggered, when they would start having to make payments?
Yeah, let me look back real quick just so I don't get it wrong. So for the EDA payments, which are a set dollar amount, not dependent on the 30% floor or anything. So that's I think it's 8.5 million for phase one, or 8 million for phase one, 8.5 million for phase two. For those would, the first one of those would be due no later than 60 days after the commercial operation date for the project, for each of those phases, and then annually after that for 5 years total for each phase. So 10 total years of those economic development payments, but 5 for each phase, just depending on when those phases happen.
And those payments could overlap given when they each completed, or when electricity begins production.
Yeah, I think the company will have a better answer on what their expected timing is for that. I don't know, Matt, if you have any insight on that.
Meeting Wayne DeWong, so I think we've had minutes this evening, certainly 2028 is our anticipated construction timeline, COD for phase one, and certainly phase two, probably a year later. That's our anticipated timeline. Of course, things can change, material delays, such, but that's the anticipated timeline. And does that address everything you were looking for?
Yeah, I guess the question is, would there potentially be overlap in the two phases as far as those payments go? And I just wasn't sure what the expectation was on the company's end.
We would anticipate overlap.
Okay, thank you.
I think there was some in my original thought process. When we talked about 5 years, you thought, well, that's 10 years, but it's not, because those phases will overlap each other. I mean, it's still 5 years and 5 years of payments, but those phases would overlap each other, wouldn't be 10 years of continuous payments.
Those same dollar amounts would arrive faster.
Correct, just faster.
Yeah.
If it's helpful, there's a slide in our 21st that kind of lays that out.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
All payments are made to Decatur County Treasurer.
One of the things that as we talk about this, you talk about the economic development agreement, one of the things that I want to clarify as a commissioner is that I want to make sure that we're covered as a county. If the BZA decides to go forward with this, this is in no way that I confirm this or agree with this. I just want to make sure that we're covered as a county financially. That's one of the things that we've talked about. That this does not say that we agree with the solar facility. This, all we're saying is that we want to make sure that we are covered as a county economically.
Yeah, I can chime in. That's correct. And it's pretty specific about saying, this is, if the BZA approves this, then this is what the commissioners are agreeing to, financially speaking. And I think that's some of the language we workshopped last week and made sure we got in there or took out as needed.
And I think going through the EDA, it looks like, Hannah, that you've done a great job, Barnes and Thornburg, with making sure that if this, if it is sold, if it goes bankrupt, whatever the conditions are, that we're still protected and covered in these agreements. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. And it also further provides that if the project is assigned and the EDA is assigned, then that's subject to the 4 other potential supplemental agreements, like the decommissioning and road use, also being assigned to the same assignee. And the EDA itself requires compliance with all those agreements as well. So
The EDA and the agreements run with the project. There is no separation, there is no sale of the project without the full acceptance of any subsequent owner of the project, correct? Anna?
Yeah, correct.
Yes. That was one of the important stipulations that we talked about, make sure that we were covered if something were to happen. Correct.
Do you guys have any other questions?
I feel comfortable that Barnes and Thornburg has done a good job on this, covering all of our bases that were protected, I believe. In any situation, I feel like economically speaking, the agreement is feasible.
Yeah,
I don't have any other questions.
no, I have a million. It's, thank you, Hannah, Kyle, thanks, Victor, you guys.
You guys have fielded a whole lot of emails over the last month.
A lot. We really appreciate it. I mean, really appreciate the help.
I'd like to look at a paper copy before I go any further. Wayne, if you could.
It's the same one we received today, correct? The 500.
I did confirm that. That's why I wanted
Is
to
that
see a copy of
confirmed,
it.
Wayne? This is the final that you received? Right.
Use the file version.
Correct. Correct.
Never had to hold it. I just had to read it.
Say, oh, I've already read it.
I can point out something. Final changes. That's helpful.
Sure.
Hannah, can you hear me, Hannah?
Yes, I can.
Um, And I'm trying to walk them through like one of these last nits and that type changes that were made. I think it's
Page 7.
page 7, section 1J. And there were a few nits here, but one of them was changing to reflect. The owner desires to commence a repowering and replacement of the project owner and the commissioners prior to the county. That was just changed the commissioner. So I think I agree that that's the best way to show is the accurate county.
And I know just for everybody else's concern, or I guess information here, the discussion of repowering came up because if we're talking about a projected lifespan of 25 to 30 years of the panels, and say we get in a certain period of time and 25% of the panels have to be replaced to extend the lifespan of the project, that's a substantial addition to the project. It's a substantial investment into the project. Again, from the company's perspective, at that point, when I was looking at this agreement, I didn't want to be locked into what the initial investment numbers were, because when you're looking at, say, an additional 25% investment, when you're looking at a $330 million project, 25% of that is a large number. So I wanted to be able to recalculate numbers based on what that repowering fee or what that repowering cost would be for the company, so that the county can be properly, I guess, reimbursed for that additional time period of the longevity of the project.
And with the NCA 1 and not be able to.
We wouldn't be recouping any of the additional money.
Right.
Yeah.
Tax.
We do have a guarantee in here as well on the EDA payments, two separate forms if possible, either through a guarantee agreement or through a bond. Originally, there had been a letter of credit that was included, and we had that struck.
Is that page 18? Yeah, we were talking about. Forms of guarantee of today.
The original reference to it is on page 6.
The bond reference.
Well, I'm sorry, it's in the original, it's in the printed version here, Brian. I'm looking off of my editor's marked up copies that was originally page 7. It's now that section for the EDA payments for the security of it is on page 6 on the printed copy there too, Brian.
Yes, I got that. That's the same that I got in this electronic form today. There's also the, yes, I got it here.
And then also in here is the requirement that on acceptance of this agreement, the owner has to comply and fulfill obligations of road use agreement, decommissioning agreement, the master agricultural preservation agreement, fire safety and response agreement.
That's all enveloped into the EDA.
We have 14 days from the passing of this agreement to reach an agreement on the road use agreement, decommissioning agreement, agricultural preservation agreement, and the fire safety and emergency response agreement.
Did you see that piece?
Where,
Did you see that piece?
where,
The 14 days. piece?
Yeah.
That's easy. Because I noticed in the other piece it says 30 days.
yeah, if you look back on the
Page 15, it says 30 days. There's one that says 14 days.
exhibit B,
My question.
C, D, and E.
Yes.
If I could jump in here for a second, I just want to
Yes.
clarify that the intention, based off of what the feedback from, I think Brian was, he said that you're not close necessarily to approving the fire agreement or the ag agreement, or we don't know the exact timeline. The 14 days was meant instead to say that once the forms of each of those agreements is approved, whether tonight or otherwise, you know, for the road use, decommissioning, ag, and so on, that just within 14 days of those approvals, then they just get attached to the EDA just so that they're there as a record. So it doesn't have to be 14 days from today.
Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
So those supplemental agreements, not like in 30 days.
That's what
30 days.
That's kind of. Do you guys have any questions?
That was my big one. It was 14:30.
Yeah.
I don't know if it changes the name.
Brian, questions?
I have no questions.
Public comment, questions?
If you can't come to terms on the other agreements, the effect on this one.
Well, Anna, what are your thoughts on that? If the decommissioning agreements, the road use agreements, if we can't come to an agreement on the remaining supplemental agreements, what is the effect on this agreement?
This agreement would remain in place. I think for it, something like the road use agreement, which the solar ordinance for the county requires, you know, if that isn't agreed to, then I don't know that the project would be able to move forward. So that's something to keep in mind, but the EDA itself would not be affected.
Matthew, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
What's that?
I would, I think the structure that we set up here is workable in that. And I can see for the project, at least for the road use and decommissioning, I think those will be kind of form agreed very shortly. So I think we got a term of the red lines from Mark Thornburg, GCOM, and road use. Maybe 4 o'clock. So I've looked at them. I didn't see anything that problematic. I just need to have a little more time to study them, get with the project, but I would expect short order because I have time to look at them. But not to push on the spot, but we're very close on those 2 agreements. The other 2 agreements, so road use and GCOM might be more common form. The other 2 agreements are more of a custom. And so, you know, my understanding is the county's working on a red line. Both of those agreements. So, but the structure that Lawrence and Thornburg put in place gives us the flexibility to have this service core to the document.
Any other questions or comments? I would echo what I think Brian said earlier. One of the big things that I was going through this document earlier is that this is a recital of an agreement on economic outlook for the county. This isn't any type of an opinion that's being generated as far as the project itself. I believe in looking at the numbers. The numbers justify, in my opinion, this agreement. Because when you look at the numbers here from Baker Tilly, the total revenue without an agreement would be based solely on existing property tax of 19.2 million. And when you're looking at the total number, including the property tax with this agreement in place, it's $46.5 million. If the BZA were to grant this petition and we did not have an economic development in place, we're missing out on a substantial $36.5 million amount of funds here that we would have otherwise received if we had an economic development agreement in place. I think that if the BZA were to approve this and we did not have this economic development agreement in place, I don't think that honestly we would be doing our service to the community because of the amount of money that will generate. And again, that is not speaking to whether or not the project should be awarded. It is solely speaking to the financial side of what the agreement will bring to the county. Which was why I wanted any reference of supporting the project, any public statements of support to this project removed. That is not our say, that is the say of the BZA. We can look here at a financial consideration of what this could do. And only on the financial side.
I concur. It's our duty.
Yes.
Safe to say your actions are a result of what the state has
Yeah,
changed in some.
if SEA 1 had not been passed, we wouldn't be dealing with the 30% floor that was eliminated. Because we would have still been at a much higher number than where we are once SEA 1 passed. We lost that guaranteed floor of 30% on business personal property tax. And when we lost that, that put us into a situation where we are today. Other questions, comments, gentlemen?
So it's kind of a good thing that SEA 1 was passed and not passed next year. It's word to it.
I can't necessarily say that because I think that there would still be the potential of other forms of economic development agreements that would have been in place on top of the 30% floor. So I can't necessarily say that. I know that there would have been other possibilities or other considerations that would have been in place or that could have been in place standard, with or without SCA1. The number, the difference in the number more than likely is smaller, because the 30% floor would have still been in place. But I can't say that it's better that it happened this year than next year. As far as protections go, say that we had proceeded forward with an agreement that did not have the guaranteed 30%, or that did not have an economic development agreement with it. Say that the project was approved and there was no EDA, and we were just relying on the 30% floor for business personal property tax, then we would be in a bad position because we would have had no floor, no additional revenue based on business personal property tax, which certain counties have found themselves in that position because they didn't proceed forward with an economic development agreement. They were relying on business personal property tax with the floor of 30%. The floor of 30% was taken away, and now they're getting nothing because they're past that 5 to 6 year depreciation value on the panels. And so that's the biggest thing is we get out 5 to 6 years on this project and we see no additional revenue outside of what the real property tax would be. So this agreement is contingent on several things outside of the supplemental agreements. It's also contingent on the Board of Zoning Appeals vote on Wednesday. It's also contingent on the council's approval of the abatement.
Correct.
Anything else, Jim? What is your pleasure?
Do we need a motion
Yeah.
to enter into a contract with ADA? I'll make a motion to enter into a contract with the economic development agreement with COIA.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. And Wayne, if you'd like to come up and as well.
Hey, this is Hannah again. I just want to confirm, had you guys received a copy of the resolution that formally approves the agreement?
I believe that is what I was handed here, yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure for our end. Thanks.
So, gentlemen, typically our CEO signs these contracts.
Oh. Yes. We can get that.
Guessing you.
Well, who has a binding signature? You have the authority to bind Cobia and future successors.
Typically, our CEO signs those contracts. And the vice president.
And you have the authority to.
See my attorney.
She's only emails proving the agreement.
Yeah.
It's internal. Yeah. So she's only that.
Yeah.
Keep printing that.
Yep.
I've got a quick one we can handle. All right, so we have had numerous discussions over the last year of the Okra grant for the YMCA. That project, the county acted as a pass-through. It was a total roughly a $1 million project of YMCA in which they had applied for a Okra grant to replace their roof. The county acted as a pass-through for the roughly $500,000 in funds that would come from Okra to the county, and then the funds would be then transferred to YMCA for the project. We now have basically documents showing that that project has been completed, all funds have been dispersed. So it's a closeout monitoring form 1 that the county, through the commissioners and the grant administrator, are verifying that all funds have been dispersed. The project has been completed. Questions?
This is no sign.
We have a motion. I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Yeah. Up next, we'll just get a quick update on the courthouse HVAC. As you could probably tell, the air conditioning is working once again. I think the hallway was probably refrigerator temperature earlier. So at least the HVAC is working. Gabe, do you have any other update on where we're at there?
Yeah, they found some lines and some issues that were crossed in one of the offices. They were able to get all that fixed while they were here on the equipment. So, yeah, for the first time, and I've understood that some of these employees' career here, their office is cold because it's no longer has issues. So it's been good. We had one last thing that needs to be fixed. There's a chemical feeder that went bad, needs to be added back or replaced. So I think we worked on that hopefully here shortly once it gets finalized. So this one. That's the, that's the real one.
Yeah, I just make copies.
Thank you. I was like, I only sent it to you.
No.
All right, so we need a resolution number there.
11.
11.
Can I see that agreement? So there is looks like a Scrivener's error in the recital of the amount, it is written out where it says 336 million, and the actual enumerated writing for the number, it's 360 million. And in the agreement here, it does reflect that it's 336. What's up?
Should go.
Okay, well, I will fix it myself. You gentlemen agree with that number, correct? Matthew, Wayne,
Yes.
phase one, 336 million. And if you guys see it, yeah,
It looks at, I mean, it says 336 million, in parentheses, it's 360.
Correct. Yeah. 336 million.
It's just, it's a typo.
we did adopt the agreement, but as far as resolution number 2025-11, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Yeah, you might. All right, up next is the Allen Memorial Pool.
Just wanted to publicly say that we are looking into the pool, and what can be done to let Decatur County have a pool again. I know there's been a lot of comment from the public. I feel the same thing. I'd like to see the pool. I've made that very publicly known. None of the dealings that I've been working on or plan to work on, will there be any tax involved? It would strictly be trying to find out how we can fund the project without having to do any of that. Because I don't want to see that additional tax added to be able to fund that. So just wanted to publicly put it out there that there is work. People, I'm sure some folks have noticed. I see some people stop and ask questions and or just go real slow by when I've been standing in the bottom of the pool. But there has been some work. We tore out the liner, just kind of investigating everything that's there and trying to decide the best foot forward. We kind of have a little bit of a team coming together with folks that had some prior engagements, some that didn't. We're going to be putting out a survey here shortly in the next, I would assume, 2 weeks. There'll be another survey that will go out to the whole county to kind of gauge everyone's interest, as well as get us a few quick questions to kind of see best path forward. So we'll have all that out. We'll make it public, obviously, and try to we want to get as much engagement as we can. So if you see that, I'm going to try to hold it to like 5 questions so that the ADD doesn't kick in sometimes, you forget what you're doing. But I want to, try to keep it short. Have that survey out. The Community Foundation has been great. They're going to assist us with that. So if you see it, please take it and share it if you can.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
Thank you very much.
I think opposition to it was never about the pool, it's about the price tag.
Yes.
And so I think it would be great if we can bring the pool back at a reduced price.
Thank you for running with that.
Yeah, I've engaged a developer already anyway. We've seen some preliminary numbers, but really trying to, as we have kind of building the steering committee, trying to find out what's the best way. So we'll continue to update as anything that monumentally happens, but just wanted folks to know that yes, it is still sitting there, but there hopefully will be movement.
We just wanted to let folks know so that I think people could maybe have a little bit of hope on it. All right, trailer purchase. Update, Gabe.
We should want bids.
I know we talked at the last meeting that we needed a trailer, and Charlie's working on it. Which ones do you have today?
I haven't seen any of those. There was one that came through, but so I've seen one of them.
And then these.
Yeah, Kenny's trailer sale.
I told them to let me know when they were gonna put out the bid. I didn't hear anything from anybody.
We tasked Charlie with going to get pricing. I believe he did stop down there.
I told him to call me, he never did.
I can give you his number too.
Right. I'll take 41. And then when it was taken,
I'd like to take some time and just look at them a little bit more and see. We have the 6x12 from Tri-County. Now they can force me to do that. Almost 6.5 by 12. Not really sure where that is.
But there's some other things I know that with him looking into the trailers, one was cheaper, but it was paint, it's not powder coated. He was advised to carry a can of spray paint, spray it as it's needed. That's obviously not a justifiable thing, so they're not all created equal. So I need some time to review those.
Okay. On from there. Christy, just to give an update on where we were at. Christy sent me the financials from the fair. It looked like our beginning balance for the fairgrounds line as of January 1 of 2025 was $92,111.59. And then after
You say $911.
$92,111.59. And then after all payments and receipts, like $152,585.76.
That is without a county draw.
Correct. Yeah, there were no additional county funds that were going there. So it looks like our profit off of the fair, our net profit was $60,474 from the 2025 fair. So a lot. I'm sorry.
You guys do it twice.
You want to volunteer? I will take your help any day of the week. If you want to come out there, collect money standing on that hill when it's 95 degrees out.
Well, we do it in the winter.
No, I just need to take a moment. I can't thank enough the sponsors that, chipped in money, for the fair. They were fantastic. They were extremely generous. I can't thank enough the fair committee that we had, the other volunteers that we had, fire, EMS that were out there all day, every day baking, sometimes in their fire suits. I can't thank everybody enough for helping put this fair on, to be able to have this kind of success. First year into a new fair committee, we did great. We have some things that, you can always tighten down a little bit year over year, but overall, I think that's very positive. Anything else here for you gentlemen?
I,
I'm guessing Brian Robbins doesn't have anything. Doug Westerfeld, BZA, APC, Wednesday night APC at 6:30.
APC first, 6:30.
BZA at 7. Greensburg High School Auditorium. Okay. Eric, you don't have anything else. Ken, you got anything?
Well, I just want to thank Bill for the article he did. It's driving people, some veterans into the office already. So that's huge to keep getting them in. A lot of people still look at me and go, I had no idea I had these benefits. So keep spreading the word. I love it.
Keeping you busy?
They are keeping me busy. I think I had 5 today that came in
That's
today.
great. Mike, you're good over at EMA. What about communications dispatch?
And we're doing good, staying busy. Got up to full staff for 2 days.
short bit.
But we're making a very good. We're excited. We have 2 new starting. One started today, one starts Monday.
Rick, you got anything from council?
I got a lot, but it's getting late.
Oh, it's not o'clock yet, Rick.
I'm looking forward to budget time.
Good.
I think I'm.
Chris?
Yeah, same thing, kind of, we just, offered in the process to get another staff for maintenance. Everything's on.
Erica, you have anything for tourism?
Not much, but we have a concert, Big Tomato on Saturday. They want
What is it?
concert, Big Tomato,
What job?
Bob and Tom.
Oh,
Kind of like, I thought, well,
You're going back to the age.
Yeah.
That'll be all of us, people out there.
Wednesday, 5 o'clock, City Hall, Park Road Project.
Yep. That was on the back of my mind. I almost forgot.
Also, National Night Out is.
14th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the big event at North Park, we'll be representing along with the rest of public safety. So.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Brian had said, Wednesday night, 5 o'clock, City Hall, informational session for the Park Road project, phase 1 from the fairgrounds up to the top of the hill, and phase 2 going further east down Park Road. The projected let date right now on that project is 2028. And so coming to some information, it sounds like they're going to have like a roughly 30-foot long diagram of the entire project, large enough that you can actually see the illustrations where the sidewalk and the multi-use trail is going to be. The sidewalk on the south end of the county's project, which is just phase 1, was removed. So there's only the multi-use trail is on the north side of Park Road for the county's portion of that project. But you can see a full illustration there on Wednesday night at 5 o'clock. So you can go to the Park Road project at 5, hang out for a while, then go to the APC meeting, the BCA. John, you got anything from United? No? All right, Rob, let's hear it. What do we have for the sake of me for all time? What's expected to happen?
Well, I will say, last meeting, we weren't here, I wasn't here, I know, Brett Planet was gonna be here to speak, and of course, it came to my attention after the fact, he was gonna speak about the ball diamond, so I called him a meeting, I was like, what the heck are you gonna say, what's going on, right? And, he just said, no, he wanted to thank everybody, he's out there when there's tournaments going on, Want to thank, of course, you guys, the council, everybody supported the project. It's amazing what's going on. And when he goes out on the weekend to see all the people that's actually in the community. So yeah, still a great success. We're up to 24 tournaments this year. We have everything booked all the way through up to July for March, beginning March 1 all the way to July 1 of next year. Then we'll be filling that calendar as well. So I mean, just financially, but gonna get
The structure too.
Oh, yeah, we did award a contractor to build our building down there. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but the parks did approve contractor on 4 bids.
I'm at back 4 down. The backside.
Oh, the back 4 diamonds has started, yes, the back 4 diamonds have started under construction. But Judy excavating, working through AstroTurf out there to get those back 4 done. Hoping October 1 they'll be complete to play. And one of our tournaments in October has has 105 teams right now. So,
Wow, this year?
this year,
October,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
Set it up. You want me to keep going? Because I have.
No. Good, all right. I know everybody saw the construction progress out at the fairgrounds. We are running the fundraising campaign for the project at the fairgrounds. We've actually already hit $100,000 in fundraising donations at this point. So progress is coming along both on the actual construction side, but also on the fundraising side of that project. The targeted amount for the fundraising was $800,000, so we're already an eighth of the way there. Quite honestly, we just started at the fair, so we're doing well. So if you guys have any questions on that project, you can call me or you can call Dennis Fogel. We also have a whole team of other folks that are involved in the fundraising aspect. It's a good group of people, a very diverse group of people from different parts of this community. One thing on the ball diamonds that I was not able to get to this week because we had a couple other contracts to read. Chad did supply the promissory note for the ball diamonds for the approval of the $200,000. So I do have that. We'll try to get that on for the next meeting just to discuss that and then send that over to the department. I did see that. So, anything else, gentlemen? I would entertain a motion to recess.
So moved.
GR recess.
Yeah,